What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Welcome to Pretty Dece, your daily entertainment and pop culture show. Today, let's talk about the Star Wars franchise. Mainly, let's talk about the expanding nature of the Star Wars franchise. You know, when Disney bought Star Wars, we knew that they were going to continue to make movies. They announced a trilogy right off the bat, but it was very clear that they wanted to turn Star Wars into something that they could milk, essentially, for years to come. Which is where we're getting these spin-off movies now. Things like Rogue One, things like the upcoming Solo movie. And we learned today that the Game of Thrones creators, David Benioff and D.B. Wise, are going to be working on their own Star Wars trilogy. We also know, we've known this for a little while, that Rian Johnson is going to be working on his own Star Wars trilogy. So, of course, he directed The Last Jedi, and he's going to be working on his own completely separate Star Wars trilogy. So these are 6 Star Wars films now that we know of that are coming, in addition to any other that are in the works. We also found out during an investor's call, speaking about the upcoming streaming service that Disney is working on, quote, several series that are going to be Star Wars focused for that streaming service. Now, for those, we don't know whether they're going to be live action or animated, how long they're going to be, what era of Star Wars they're going to focus on. We just know that they're kind of in the works and they are coming. So this is a lot of Star Wars that is coming down the pipe. And obviously, they need to have a big pipeline of Star Wars stuff coming in order to give us a Star Wars movie every year, as they seem to want to do. You know, we've definitely had the On trilogy, like numbered Star Wars sequel, followed by kind of an offshoot story the next year, followed by a big sequel, and that seems to be the trend that they want to hit going forward. And so far, it's all been very good. You know, like the quality has been very high on all the Disney Star Wars stuff that we've seen. I'm just beginning to wonder, are we going to finally hit a burnout point with Star Wars? Up until now, you know, main Star Wars movies have been special. They've been something that you've had to wait a long period of time for to actually see. And getting a new trilogy was this massive, ridiculous thing that you didn't actually expect, you didn't see coming. Well, apparently we're going to be getting these things year after year after year, probably longer than you can imagine. And you know, I wonder at some point, are we just going to get tired of Star Wars? The same thing is going to be said about Marvel films, about DC films. Eventually, do you hit diminishing returns and need to take a little bit of time off? We'll see when we get to that point. Up until now, we don't know a ton about either of these trilogies. We do know that the Game of Thrones creators want to focus on a, quote, moment in Star Wars history. We have no idea, again, what time period that's going to be. I would personally guess that it's going to be a bit more of a serious Star Wars trilogy than maybe we've seen up until now. Just look at Game of Thrones. They might take Star Wars in a more kind of gritty, serious direction. And definitely with the popularity of Game of Thrones, it makes a lot of sense to get these guys on board and working on Star Wars. Now, Rian Johnson's trilogy, I think, is maybe a bit more up in the air. He certainly seems to want to deconstruct Star Wars just based on his previous Star Wars work. So I'd really love to see kind of what he decides to tackle when he's given free reign of Star Wars, when he can go anywhere in the galaxy, so to speak, and pick any time frame, and also develop his own characters. The whole focus of that trilogy is not going to be on established characters. It's going to be creating his own, making up his new mythos, so to speak. So, you know, it feels like that's what he wanted to do with his Star Wars film already. So I'd really love to see kind of what he can do when all of the reins are off, when he gets kind of free reign over his own 3 films. And of course, we have the Solo movie coming up, which at the Super Bowl we got the first little teaser trailer for. I'm very excited about that film. I think Donald Glover looks fantastic as Lando, just the few seconds that we get to see him there. And a lot of people are kind of upset about maybe that the Han Solo actor doesn't quite look like Han Solo. But I was pleased with the split second that we got to see there. So again, up until now, I think the quality has remained high, but we'll see, how long until people start to get a little tired of yearly Star Wars movies. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thank you very much for joining me to talk about Star Wars. Make sure to like Pretty Dece on Facebook, facebook.com/PrettyDeceShow. Follow me on Twitter @PrettyDeceShow and visit PrettyDeceShow.com. I'll be back tomorrow for another daily episode. In the meantime, hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of the content.